Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Dr. Spotfire session. This is the first of the year. Happy New Year. And with me, I have Atira Latar. Myself is Jose Leviaguirre, Dr. Spotfire team members. And we have our host today is going to be Miguel Diaz. You want to say hi to the audience?
Hi there. Happy New Year.
All right. Thank you. Happy New Year, Miguel, and everyone as well. So today we're going to talk about the Cloud Deployment Kit. And the Cloud Deployment Kit is basically how to deploy Spotfire in any cloud environment, such as Azure or Google Cloud Platform or Amazon Web Services. So we're going to walk you through how to deploy Spotfire on a container, Kubernetes container. Before I continue, we have a reminder. Just remember that this is streamed live every month, and you can watch us on YouTube channel or the recording if you happen to see this after the fact, the first Tuesday of every month. You can also reach us directly if you have any questions at drspotfire@spotfire.com. We have the Dr. Spotfire office hours I already talked about. The pre-recorded sessions are there. You can find the last months, and we probably have a continuation of this series in the next month. So maybe January, February, and March we'll have a continuation of this Spotfire cloud deployment. I'm going to skip through that, and I'm going to just remind you that we like to kick off the presentation by this motto: learning is often fueled by questions, because questions spark curiosity, encourage exploration, and lead to a deeper understanding of a subject. So the challenge is to be critical and seek answers that drives the process of thinking. So keep the questions coming, and we will do our best to answer them live or after the fact. So again, let's welcome our presenter, Miguel Diaz. He's a senior product manager, so feel free to ask any questions, and we will be glad to answer them at any time during the presentation. Miguel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and welcome again to this Dr. Spotfire session. Spotfire in Kubernetes, deployment anywhere. You know, Spotfire is a platform for self-service analytics that gives business users the power to analyze data, share insights, and take action. From an architecture point of view, Spotfire consists of a set of scalable services, and you can deploy the Spotfire services that you need. Maybe you need Python and not R, or the other way around. You pick what you need. On top of that, you can use add-ons like Spotfire mods from the Spotfire community, or you can build your own. You can integrate and also extend Spotfire via APIs, Spotfire actions, and more. And your business users can analyze the data and consume those reports from desktop, web browser, or mobile devices. And the matter of today, you can deploy these Spotfire services anywhere, on bare metal, VMs, or containers, Windows or Linux, on premises, or on any cloud provider of your choice, or even in a hybrid environment. First of all, why Spotfire on Kubernetes? There are many benefits, but I would like to highlight three. In a nutshell, what you and we also want is easier and faster Spotfire installation and upgrades. We want a repeatable and automated deployment procedure based on templates. And I don't want to deploy only off the grid or to be locked in to one specific cloud provider. I want to be able to deploy anywhere. Also, what I want is to use Spotfire together with other products. And here I'm talking not only about the data sources, but other services for observability, like logging and metrics, identity management, etc. And it should be effortless and easy to integrate with them, if possible without any development or with minimal development, using standard APIs, so I can integrate with most of the stuff that is out there. I want product openness. And we do not want to reserve service capacity for the next year based on whatever the forecast or the maximum expected load that I have. That in the end, it will be probably wrong, too much or too little. What I want is to pay just for whatever I need in that specific moment. It is not about reducing cost, taking down the nodes that I do not need, but also about quickly adapt to your business needs by adding more nodes when you need them. I want product elasticity. So let's focus today on the first pillar, deployment anywhere. The way that we understand deployment anywhere is captured within these lines. All Spotfire services running on Linux deployed as containers in a Kubernetes cluster, orchestrated using Helm charts. When talking about containers, Kubernetes and cloud-native applications, it is easy to think that we talk only about cloud deployment. Therefore, I like to note that cloud-native is about how the applications are created, deployed, and behave, and not where those applications are developed or deployed. Okay? This means that using the same artifacts, the methods, tools, on top of any certified Kubernetes cluster, doesn't really matter where you are, because Spotfire is a Kubernetes platform with the same Spotfire modes, APIs, actions. Spotfire becomes not only a service analytic and data preparation tool or tool for building dashboards and reports, but a complete full analytics platform where you can create custom generated analytics and data science applications, and even specialized field applications like the ones that, as we speak, are powering the pharma, semiconductors, energy, and other industries. You can consume data from a extensive, large, and always growing number of data sources, and easily integrate with centralized management applications using standard APIs. That's another of the pillars. Wherever you are, doesn't really matter if you are in AWS, if you are in Azure, you are in Google Cloud, or somewhere else. It's up to you, because with Spotfire, you have the freedom to choose premises, or any cloud, wherever. Nice, very nice. Okay, whatever you're speaking, but how can I do that? As you might know, we released Spotfire with the Spotfire 12 LTS. We released a new product, the Spotfire Cloud Deployment Kit, CDK. And with the CDK, we provide a reference and a starting point for the deployment of Spotfire using containers and Helm charts on Kubernetes cluster. You may ask, can I use this? How can I use it? The CDK is released as an open source project in GitHub under the Apache 2.0 license, which means that you can use it as it is to build the official Spotfire containers and charts, or you can extend them and customize to your needs. Any questions so far? I think you are in mute.
Oh, thank you, Miguel. Yes. This is not just a platform that you can test on a container and do whatever. It's production ready, right?
Yeah, correct. You can use it as it is for production, or you can modify, add the top, customize those recipes, those scripts, add more layers to the containers, add whatever you want to the charts to customize it to your specific business needs. Yeah. But they can be used as they are.
And this cloud deployment kit, how often do you release it? Or when was it first released, and which version are required in order to do this?
Yeah. As I said, the first release was on 12.0 LTS, and we have been releasing one new CDK version for each Spotfire release. So typically it's 1-to-1, and the latest published one was a couple of weeks ago for the Spotfire 14.1.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So all these links are going to be provided in the video description. So if you happen to watch this video later, you can look at the video description and all those links are going to be there.
Yes. Okay, so you may ask now, okay, nice, but what can I do with the Spotfire CDK? Okay, let me show you. What we are going to do today is two main parts, right? It's to prepare, where we will fetch the software, build the container images and the charts, and later we will deploy. And we will configure some stuff and use those artifacts to deploy Spotfire on Kubernetes. And the deployment is going to be very similar. We are going to repeat in different ways, whether it is a clean install, update configuration, scaling, or upgrading the environment.
Oh, that's perfect, because it's not only those presentations that you're going to just, explain what it is, but you are actually going to show us how to, basically a demo on how to deploy it, right?
Correct. I'm going to be switching pretty much between the GitHub page, the terminal, and the Spotfire admin UI. And you will see how I'm doing live. Yep. But first of all, let's start by refreshing some concepts to get a better understanding of the CDK architecture. For those that maybe you don't not remember, what is a container image? A container image is the cloud native software artifact. It packages an application and all of its dependencies into a self-contained unit that can run anywhere. And it's composed of several layers, right? And follows one standard, the Open Containers Initiative, OCI. Typically, one container maps to one specialized service. For example, we take the Spotfire server container image. We see that we have different layers. It's built from the Debian base image layer, adding Open GDK, some other software dependencies, and on top of that, the Spotfire server software and some configuration scripts. Right? So you get the idea. And if you want to see the other containers, these are some of the ones that we are going to build. You can see that they have several layers, and some of them are common, like the Debian one and the OpenGDK. Indeed, many times the services for the same application family share some common components, and then it is easier and faster if you build those common layers and reuse them. Luckily for you, you don't need to care about all these details. The provided CDK makefile will take care of the building process and take into account all those dependencies. We just need to provide the software, Spotfire software, and run make. Okay, let's do it. If you go here, right, we open the Spotfire Cloud Deployment Kit main page. You can see the overview, what is this about, prerequisites, components that you are going to deploy, and the basic workflow. First, the software, build containers, build charts, deploy. That's all about. You can find also information about how can you report issues and the licenses. All right. I don't know which release I want to use. Let's see which releases are available. The latest one, as we mentioned before, is 2.10, corresponding to Spotfire 14.1.0. And if we read here, we see that the recipes are validated with this listed of Spotfire products and versions. They could work with other versions with modifications. I want now to use 14.0 LTS. So I could use this one, and maybe it would work as it is, probably, or I could modify it, but I prefer to take just the issue path and pick this release, the previous one, 2.0 or 40.0 LTS. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I have already cloned the GitHub repo here. I make sure that I have everything updated, and I will check which releases are available, and I will check out the one that I want to use, right? And if I go back to the Okay, now we have it. If I go back to the main page, I will just follow the workflow.
So it's recommended to go always for the latest version, the latest leg.
We think about the CDK as most of the charts and container images, container recipes that are out there. That means that they follow the mainstream application. They always follow the latest version of the application. So you will use the appropriate version of the charts and image recipe for the application that you want to build. I would recommend to use the one that we have validated, but it shouldn't stop you for using any version that you want and adapt it, as we stated here in the CDK project.
Okay.
So it's here. If I follow the recipe, it says that I have to build the images. I need to go to put the required files in this place, and I don't know what I need. I am now in the containers folder. README. Let's go here. I have a downloads that is empty. Lucky for me, I have downloaded previously the Spotfire. Sorry, no, I do not know what to download, right? So what I'm gonna do is copy this, and for this version, I see that this has validated for this Spotfire components. By default, the makefile will expect the software here in downloads, as it is stated, but I prefer to use something else. In containers downloads, I will give you a pro tip. Since I used to manage different Spotfire versions, I prefer to set the location as a parameter. I will show you how. I downloaded my software here, and what I'm gonna do, it's a link to that folder, right? So what happens is that I have my software in downloads, my version, and this way I can build 4 different versions, just providing the software version location to the make command. You can expect the make file. There are several variables available where you can modify the behavior of make. But basically, I do make build, same as here, just passing that variable. Where are my software? Where is my software downloaded? And this typically will take somewhere between 2 to 5 minutes, depending on your hardware. Yep.
And in this demo, we're deploying on-prem, right?
On this demo, I'm deploying on a certified Kubernetes cluster. So that means that you don't really care where it is. But for this demo, I'm using actually a Google Cloud cluster.
Okay.
But normally, because I want to make it faster, normally I use Minikube or I use K3 or whatever. Also micro Kubernetes. You could use anything. For setting up for small loads, it's okay for one small machine, one small VM. But for big loads, I would recommend going for several VMs and have a proper Kubernetes cluster, not just one node cluster like Minikube that is for testing. You can run it there, but I would recommend to have 3 nodes or 4 nodes. Enough capacity. So
okay, here's one more question. Once you have everything built, and you decided, well, this is not the environment that I want to move it to somewhere else. Maybe I want to put it back on the cloud or get it on premise, or maybe do to a different cloud provider. Is that easy to do?
Yes. The point is that once you build the images, you can reuse the same images anywhere. As I'm going to show you later, you use some configuration files, and those configuration files will tell how you want to have in a deterministic way how you want the deployment to be.
And how about the user data? For example, the dashboards, the configuration, and if we're maybe this is an early to ask question, but if we're migrating from one cloud provider to another cloud provider, like from one environment to another environment.
Okay, we are jumping very much ahead, but basically what you do is you put those files normally in you configure your import-export folder where you want to put your library items for exporting from the library, and you could do that export for those files there and use that as a persistent volume in Kubernetes. I will show you later how.
Okay.
And you can preload it with the configuration script from the Helm chart. Or you can use a copy of the database. But yeah, there are several methods. We can go in a different session about how you can move from one place to another, or how can you mirror environments. Anyhow, I just cut out the because I didn't want to wait. I just built them before. And you have here the images. If you build it again, you will realize that you have built them. I do not have to update anything. It will have the same response. And what I'm going to do is to push them to my registry. Normally, you will do like this, wherever your registry is, because you don't want to use it directly here. You want your Kubernetes cluster to be able to fetch them. So actually, my registry is located here, wherever, doesn't really matter. I just push them. The layers already exist. It will only update the layers that need to be updated. And that's basically it. This we need to remember that this will be a private registry that can be accessed only from your machine where you are building or by your Kubernetes cluster, right? Not publicly accessible due to the licenses, of course. Yeah, all the layers exist. I don't need to wait for this. Setting up the Kubernetes cluster, the registry where I'm pushing the images is not Spotfire specific. You can find a lot of documentation out there, and it's out of the scope of this demo. Anyhow, we have now built our container images, and they are in our registry. We are going to the next step, right? Let's move out here. And the next step, following the workflow, it's about the packaging the Helm charts. And since like I have to go to the, I have some requisites. I need to go to the Helm folder and run make. That's all about. So, but before doing that, I would like to refresh what is a Helm chart. Helm chart Helm is a package manager, right? Helm. And a chart is a Helm package. It contains all the resource definitions necessary to deploy an application in Kubernetes. And a chart release is an instance of that Helm chart running in a Kubernetes cluster. I would typically install the same chart many times on the same cluster using the same release name. And each time it is installed, a new release is created. I will come back on this. This is an important idea because a chart release may imply a new installation, that's the first one, apply a new configuration to the system deployment, to change the deployment sizing through those values, or to upgrade the contained application. For Helm, all of that is managed the same way, as we will see. But first, let's build the charts, right? Sorry, package the charts, I should say. I just go here to the Helm, and following the guide, I run make. It will fetch all the dependencies because each chart may have some dependencies. In our case, we are using Kedra and Prometheus, Fluentbit, something else. So I don't really need to know about that. The make file takes care about it.
So with Helm, are we? I'm sorry. With Helm, are we packaging the Spotfire service, the Spotfire server services, or it's more of like Kubernetes specific packages?
The container image contains the application and the software. Helm contains the instructions how I'm going to deploy that software in Kubernetes. What are the steps that I need to do, right? And for doing it in a very nice way, what Helm provides is kind of a template where you can apply values. So it tells how you provide the values on how, and then it deploys the container images, several instances of those images, right?
Okay, so its functionality similar to what the compose file in Docker. Are these like?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly. A Helm chart would be a more complete Docker compose file.
Okay.
Right, that takes care not only about the setup, but the whole lifecycle management and even configuration scripts that you want to run before. That's called jobs. Yeah, many other things. So it's more complete. Yeah.
Okay.
But nothing stops you if you want. We are providing these recipes for deploying Kubernetes on, Spotfire containers using the Helm charts on Kubernetes. Nothing stops you from using those images and apply them with the Docker Compose or just with Docker directly into your VM. That's okay, right? I would not recommend that for production, maybe, because it doesn't take care of the whole lifecycle management. But you can do it for development testing purposes. It's perfectly okay. Yeah.
And maybe with the scaling, I think Kubernetes is more advanced than Docker.
Of course. Yeah, it's yeah. Kubernetes is the whole thing. Docker Compose helps you to set up startup containers in a quick way. That's all.
Exactly.
Okay, so I have the the package charts. They are here. Now we can jump into the next step, right? That is deploying the software. For that, I will jump into the first service that I want to deploy, of course, the Spotfire server. And here I can see an overview of what I will be able to deploy, some prerequisites and some usage. Let's see it in a picture, maybe a little bit better. What I would need is basically a Kubernetes cluster, and you may create different namespaces for the different application groups, or maybe because I have one namespace for development, another for production, another for team A or team B, or yeah, I have this namespace this and namespace that. And one of the requisites for deploying Spotfire, you know that that I need a database server, right? And you may ask, can I use any database? Well, you can check out in the Spotfire system requirements which database you can use. The answer is that whatever that is in the system requirements, and you can use it a database on premises while you have the application in Kubernetes. You can have it outside the Kubernetes cluster, or outside as a cloud service, or inside the Kubernetes cluster as a containerized database server. In this example, we are going to use a containerized database server. Okay. Make sure you read the vendor recommendations for running as a containerized database server for production host. You can do it, but read the documentation. Basically, what we are going to do is following this example here, not this one, with an existing database that could be outside, where I just point out where is my database and so on, some variables. What I'm going to do is use this example, installing with a new database based on this chart. But let's continue with the overview. After the database, I will deploy the Spotfire server chart, right? And the chart will take care not only about the Spotfire server, but a bunch of different things. Some of them optional, some of them they will come by default. The Spotfire server, I should say that indeed we are using a pod. A pod is the smallest unit in Kubernetes. It's a group of one of several container images In our case, the Spotfire server here contains the pod contains the Spotfire server image and the FluentBit image that we are going to use for log forwarding. We'll talk more about this topic in the following sessions. And as usual, yeah, you can apply some values to the chart. I will show you later. Optionally, you can use an HA proxy for reverse proxy for accessing the Spotfire server. You can use persistent volumes to deploy additional Java libraries, distribution packages, using that you asked before for import, export, the analysis files, and more. Yeah, you can check the README for more details. Basically, this is already Spotfire. And after that, you can decide to deploy the services that you need, each of them managed by their own Helm chart. You have a chart for the web layer and one for the automation services and so on, right? So, any questions so far? Nope. So, let's do it. Let's put this here. Before I start, I would like to show you another pro tip. For convenience, I use some aliases because I'm lazy and this makes my life much easier. First, I would like to create a namespace to put this stuff, right? I will call it chocolate. Yeah, I told you I like to use variables. That allows me to use the same commands again and again, just changing the variable. And a pro tip is that I can use another panel, and I can set up a watch, a Kubernetes kubectl watch, to get all the resources in that namespace, so I can see what's going on while I'm deploying, right? Because it happens very fast. If I follow the example, I add the repository was already there. Sorry, so here, so you can see it. What we have done is deploying the Spotfire server database. You can see that this is Helm ls for that namespace. I see my release, which has revision 1, right? It has been deployed. It's here running. And if I follow this sample, I need to set up the Postgres auto-generated Postgres password for use it later within the Spotfire server chart. So I will do that. And now I can deploy my server. I need to set the end user agreement, and I will point to my registry. I will point to my database. Basically, what I do is, again, I set up my release will be called like that. And what I'm going to do is, oh, sorry, I set up the command wrong. The new lines, sorry, let me repeat.
So you're running two terminals on the same window, right? One at the bottom is to monitor what's going on, and the one on top is to punch in all the commands, right?
Correct. Now I apply that command without new lines. And now we'll see that the new release for the Spotfire server will pop up. And we have a configuration job that will take care of the setting up the database and setting up all the deployments. We can follow it. What I'm running now is a Kubernetes kubectl log to follow what is going on in the background. while I'm seeing this here, right? What is happening is you see the deployment, the bootstrap deploying the distribution files. Everything is happening automatically. I just hands off. Normally, this deployment will take something between 2 to 5 minutes, and we will see when it's ready. If I want, I could have passed this guy a file with these values, or add more value one by one with the set command. And you have here a bunch of available values that you can use. Right? Let's go back to the example. Now it has applied the distribution files and it's creating the users. After it is done, I will. Sorry, please.
If we want to change the database, or like if we want to use another database other than the Postgres for the configuration, I guess that is also easy to be done from the command here, right?
Yeah, exactly. As I said, you can use any of the supported databases. You can use SQL Server. You can use Oracle, containerized, or in any place, on premises or on a cloud service provider. Doesn't really matter. You have in the values, you have a specification of how you pass the different settings for each of the database types. For the one that we are doing it, it's we are doing via the URL. Okay, the configuration is done, and we have a hopefully it has created a HTTP proxy external IP where I can access the server. I didn't tell you before, but here, yeah, I need to fetch the authenticated Spotfire admin password. Okay, or maybe I could pass it, the one that I want, through the values file. Right? The default is admin. So there it is. I have installed the Spotfire server. What can you do now? I mean, it's you will recognize that you have the access to the library, you have the nodes and services, the activity. If we look into activity, you can see that you only have one server. That's all. What I'm going to do is add more services. Overview. Yeah, it's there. And it's 1400. Let's add the Spotfire services. I can, for example, deploy a web player. If I go to the web player README, I see some overview, prerequisites, usage. I need to export the Spotfire server and log forwarder to tell the web player chart where is my Spotfire server pods running. So I will do that. And now I can just install the chart. Again, use whatever the name that you want for your web player release. Point wherever you have the charts. I'm using it like this because I want to call it vanilla software web player, and my charts are located in this folder. And I see that now I have 3 Helm chart releases: database, the Spotfire server, and the Spotfire web player. I do not have to do anything. The web player will start up, it will get automatically trusted by the server and configure whatever it needs to be done. I could have started with my custom values file to provide more specific configuration. Right now, since I'm deploying them with the default configuration, I just call them vanilla, the common default, good for everyone, the startup configuration. Here you have a lot of information about what you can do with the Spotfire web player. Okay, and the same for the services. If I go to the, let's say, Python service, it's exactly the same. I need to have the same variables, and it's the same command. Of course, I will call it something else, not the same name for the release, for the Helm chart release. I will call it the vanilla Spotfire Python, and I will say it's ongoing. Yeah, now I have 4 releases. What's going on here? If I go to the nodes and services, I say that the web player has already joined and something else is going on. Okay, so basically I have not, I have run a couple of commands and I have an environment already going on.
Yeah, in a few minutes.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Questions so far?
Yeah, I have a question. So let's say in case if I want to upgrade one of the services, for example, if I want to do some changes or add some packages to my Python server, is that something we do from the let's say from the help chart side, or we can do it like from the just as we do from the Spotfire server side?
Yeah, correct. I will show you later an example, but basically you will do like this. You do, I want to install in this namespace, upgrade this release, for example, for the Spotfire server release that is here, right? And I want to apply this my new config files. And if you look into the config file, this is a good thing to watch now. You have a values file, right? A default one. And you can use, by default, it will apply this, but you can edit this, rename it as you want, to apply, when you deploy, whatever the configure you want. You can manage the auto-scaling with the KEDA, you can manage the affinity for the namespaces, you can add extra environment variables that you may use, volumes for what we were talking about for the persistent volumes, what you want to do with the CLI, config jobs that you want to start. I will show you about this later. And if you want to scale, because maybe you want to have now 3 Python services and not 2, sorry, not 1, I could do it like this. You see, you have only one Spotfire Python. Now is revision 2 of this chart release, right? And what is happening is that it's taking care of setting up 3 guys. And if I go here to the nodes and services, I will see that they will pop up and will be automatically okay. I don't care about this right now. Interested nodes, resource pools. I only have one, the full one. Yeah, I have one Python, one player. Here they will show up the other 2 Python services that I asked for in a moment. Right now they are just 1 or 2. That means that within that pod, the Spotfire Python service pod, the Fluent Bit pod is ready. The Spotfire Python service is not ready. So as soon as the 2 containers in that pod are ready, it will show 2 and 2. Yeah, 2 and 2. And soon I will see them here. Yeah, here they are. Yeah, if I want to add more services, it would be the same, just one by one, each with its own Helm chart. And if I want to clean up, the only thing that I need to do is delete these charts. So I would delete and with that I will terminate this environment. I could have removed the whole namespace, but this is nicer. Anyhow, so yeah, those will be terminating, and soon this will be dead. Questions so far?
Yeah, I have a question. So, when you're talking about the pods in Kubernetes, are these, let's say, a collection of containers or the containers themselves?
Yeah, let me show you here. A pod is a group of containers. A pod could be just one container or several. In the case of the Spotfire server pod, it contains, sorry for the overloading of the contains, but the Spotfire server pod contains the Spotfire server container and the FluentBit container. You could have more. And there are several patterns for containers. You can have them as ambassador or sidecar container, or there are different patterns. Right now, we're using the FluentBit as a sidecar for forwarding the logs to a log database. I will show you that in another session. But yes, a pod is a group of one or several containers. Okay, we have uninstalled this, and you may think that okay, that was easy, but maybe not so easy. Can you do it easier? Yes, I can, and I will show you how. Basically, there is another concept that it's called umbrella chart. Do you know what is an umbrella chart? I can refresh you.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we provide an umbrella chart example for Spotfire. We can browse it here. It's in the samples folder. And basically, it is a chart that calls other charts, right? Just with one, you can manage several. And you can see here in the definition of the chart that the dependencies are the server, the Postgres that we used before, web player, automation service, the service, whatever. And you can do something very nice with the umbrella charts. You can use aliases like we are doing here for the web player. This is very useful to deploy Spotfire service instances with different configuration settings within the same deployment. And a typical example for that is when I want to deploy different pools. I can apply different settings for those two pools. And how can I do that? If you remember, you saw before the values file for the server, you see that there is a YAML structure where I can put my values. I can substitute the default ones with my own ones. In the same way, you can use values in the umbrella chart, but just using the alias as the top level and the same variables. So Postgres and whatever the tree structure for the Postgres and whatever the variables that I want to push for the web player. And this is really useful because it allows you to do several things. The main one is to do, as before, one Helm chart for each of the services. I can have just this umbrella example and deploy everything with one command. Let's do that. Okay.
Just remember, guys, that when we talk about charts here, the umbrella chart in this context is we're talking about Helm packages.
Yeah. Sorry.
Not visualizations.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you for the clarification. It's a Helm chart. Yeah. So basically, I have removed what I had before. It's terminating. Doesn't really matter. Okay. Well. Yeah, I can do it on top of that. Or maybe I should explain something else. Yeah, I will explain that what I'm going to use is I'm going to do a clean install. I'm going to point to an umbrella chart, and this time I'm not gonna use the umbrella chart through the folder as I did before. I will pick the umbrella chart through a registry. I will tell the registry which version I want, and I will use a couple of custom values. In this example, I'm gonna use directly a couple of examples that are here. The initial setup example, where I can tell some startup scripts, configuration scripts, to apply Spotfire properties and command scripts to create users, add licenses and groups and whatever. And I'm going to use this multi-service example to tell Helm chart that I want to have all of these services enabled. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. All right. So I didn't told you before, but here in the packages, we have the umbrella package. And for being able to use it from a registry, this is a pro tip, right? What you can do is you want to modify for whatever reason, you modify and you rebuild it, and you package it. That you can do anytime, or with the previous command as we saw before. You can do this. You can do Helm push this package Helm chart to my registry. The same OCI registry that I'm using for my containers, I can use it for my charts. Okay, and that way, in this way, I can do a Helm upgrade. Sorry, Helm install to that namespace, to that release. I just call it vanilla, not vanilla whatever. And we'll take the chart from this registry. You see that it's pulling the chart, the Helm chart, and applying these two files that we talked about before. And what it will happen is that, bang, just like that, it will create the complete Spotfire deployment environment. If we want, as before,
oh wow,
I can see the config job running. Oh, sorry, it's initiating, so I need to wait till it's starting. now it's running. So it's bootstrapping. We'll update the database as before. It will configure whatever it needs to configure. If you remember, in this initial setup, I have some users and some groups. This is just a simple example. You could do something much more creative. I mean, adding users, you could do it with the LDAP sync or with the scheme, but this is just for the sake of an example, illustrative example. You can see that it applies the deployment distribution files, creates the deployment if needed, validates this, and now it's creating the admin users. We are not going to be able to see them because. Sorry, you have a question?
No, we just. I was wondering how long it's going to take, but it seems that it's much faster than deploying manually Spotfire. And all you have to do is just configure and execute the command, and everything is done by itself because everything is already provided in the scripts. And yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And when it's done, again, as before, I export the password, the automatically generated password, and I can access my environment.
So wow, so you basically deployed a clean Spotfire Spotfire server with a couple of commands with a couple of minutes.
Yes, exactly. It takes between 2 and 5 minutes to have a full environment, complete environment. Doesn't really matter if I want to have 1 or 25 or 42 web players. Of course, I need to have a big enough Kubernetes cluster, but it's just one command. And in a deterministic way, I can tell what are the values that I want to use. If I go now to users, I can see that they have those users are created. And in the same way that I have done that, I can resize it if I want, just using the same as before with another values file that is another sizing, maybe for night or day, office hours, not office hours. And if I want to speed up the things, I know that I'm not upgrading, so I'm going to use the same deployment values. Sorry, the same distribution files for the deployment area. So I will set this to false. I could do this command, or I could run it with the reuse values. Doesn't really matter. And what's going to happen is that, yeah. Again, it pulls, tries to apply the configuration. We are going to see. Oh, sorry, I forgot to show you the file. I will show it now. Yeah, I prepared before this little file, which is basically a copy of the other one that I showed you before, where I'm saying that I want for the pool 1 2 instances. I don't want to have pool 2. I don't want to have automation services or air service. I just want to have 2 Python. And it's going to apply that configuration right now. Again, as before, we can see the activity and things are popping up, popping down. It's getting trusted. It's starting up. I don't really need to care about it. It will take 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, depending on your hardware, and you will have it ready. You can do more things. Not only about resizing, you can apply different configuration. Here I have also custom setup, as you asked before, where I want to apply not only the users that I had before, ABC, and the groups that I had before, that is only group red. I want to create DEF and blue and green and make assignations of those users to some groups. I could do more complex things, but this is just, again, a simple example for the illustrative example. Yeah, so what I would do is apply this command. You saw before we had revision 2 of the Helm chart. Now it's going to do revision 3 because I did the clean install, update. Each time I apply the same chart is a version, new version. You see, revision 3 of the same release. And basically, yeah, I can follow it again. Config job. It's gonna, oh, it's done already. Okay. That was too fast. Maybe I used the wrong file. I applied the same values. Resize, sorry. Custom setup. It's so smart. Now I'm applying those values.
And what about the library files for the Spotfire server? Are they let's say contained within the container, or we can map them out like to an external volume?
Yes. While this is going on, let me go back here. Normally, you would use a persistent volume
to
configure your import-export folder, right? If you want to use the import-export command. Or from 14.0, you can use the REST API to fetch those library items to an external place, or get or push. Or you could do it in different other ways. Actually, I would recommend maybe using the REST API. But for the initial installations, you can put them here and use that configuration script to get them automatically imported. Or you can do it afterwards with the REST. Doesn't really matter. In the log that we were browsing before with the same command as before, we see that it added some users. I mean, this is just example. It applied that configuration change. Again, looking into the overview, you will see that you have the sizing that you want.
Oh, that's very good. I don't think we're gonna have time for the next demo, but the Spotfire version upgrade is the same, just a couple of commands, and you get it done, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
it's applying the same commands. I have already pre-built the charts and the containers and push them to the registry, so I can use them directly from here. I would not apply reuse values. I would be deterministic and apply the values that I want to apply, and that's all. It's initial installation, change configuration, resizing, upgrade is everything the same. So let's summarize. Let's recap, if you want. We can jump into that. What we have learned today. We can deploy Spotfire anywhere, as long as you have a certified Kubernetes distribution. For the definition of what is a certified Kubernetes distribution, you can look into the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. I will provide the links later. It is quick. You can prepare the setup, building the containers and the charts. It will take 10-15 minutes, and you can deploy it in 2-5 minutes, a complete environment as big as you want. It is easy, one command if you want, and it's repeatable. You just have the configuration file and apply it once and again and again and again. So what are the downsides, you may ask? It has some added complexity. Of course, you need to know and you need to build that knowledge on containers, Helm charts, and Kubernetes. And you have added infrastructure requirements. You need to set up that Kubernetes cluster. Any questions so far? Nope. Okay.
No, right now.
Anyhow, the cost, the downsides are almost always nothing compared with the benefits. And it's definitely worth it. Again, why Spotfire on Kubernetes? Yeah, because it's easier, faster, repeatable, and secure deployment anywhere. In the next sessions, if you won't join us, we can go through the product openness and product elasticity topics. That's all for today. Thank you very much, and see you soon.
Thank you, Miguel. That was that was great.
Perfect. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you next time. And make sure you like and subscribe for the next session. Maybe we're going to continue with this Kubernetes deployment on future sessions. Thanks very much.
Thanks, all. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.